Hello? Yep, that's much louder. Good evening, Huddle, and a happy Monday. Today we have some good topics to talk about. First off, I would like to start and call up our Artivism mentor, Daniel, for prayer and scripture.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. I ask that all hearts and minds be clear as we prepare ourselves for prayer in this place. The scripture of the day comes from Philippians 4:19 from the NIV Biblical Version. Rejoice in the Lord always. I will say it again, rejoice. Let your gentleness be evident to all. The Lord is near. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, be prayer and petition with thanksgiving. Present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Whatever you have learned or received or heard from me or seen in me, put it into practice, and the God of peace will be with you. So it speaks for itself. And if we want to just meditate our minds and our hearts and our spirits on anything particular, now is a good time to do that for about 10 seconds. Amen.
All right, our now we have our announcements and action alerts from our Huddle founder and director, Ashley Sharpton.
Thank you, Kay. Let's clap Kaylee up. This is her first time hosting tonight, and she's doing a great job. All right, what icon just recently passed? It's not a trick question. One of the young people. One of the young people? Anybody know? Nobody was at the rally on Saturday? Nobody watched the rally on Saturday? What'd you say? Something Belafonte, that's a hint. Anybody want to give the first name? Kaylee gave half of it. Gino? Alyssa? You don't know the first name? You want to help us? Y'all want to phone a friend? You want to give him a clue, somebody in the audience? Yeah. Oh, I'll come with you.
Harry Delfonte? Bellavante. My fault.
Come on, y'all. Harry Belafonte. Let's clap him up in his legacy and memory. Oh, Lord. Come on, young people. Young people. Yes, we did. And now, but if they didn't know Harry, I don't think they would know Maddox. So, and Jerry Springer. So, but you know Jerry, but you don't know Harry. That's a problem. It's a problem. If we're focused on the mess, than the messengers. Okay, so Nan joins the global community, and hopefully you all, in mourning the loss of actor, activist, singer, and icon. So he was an actor, an activist, a singer, and an icon, Harry Belafonte. We recognize his decades of work breaking barriers and fighting for civil rights at the risk of losing everything. Matter of fact, I'm not even gonna read this. Long story short, and I think that that's part of the problem. A lot of the times we know who is current now, who's trendy now, who is popping now according to our standards, music all that. But the artists that you know today would not even be artists or not have a space in America without somebody like Harry Belafonte. So it's important for you to know the shoulders that we stand upon, because without Harry Belafonte making strides that he did and singing the songs that he did and putting on for our movement, you wouldn't know a Diddy. You wouldn't know J. Cole, you wouldn't know Jay-Z, you wouldn't know, who's lit to y'all? You know Tupac? But none of those people would matter without Harry Belafonte. And that's a big statement, but you should know who he is. And it's important for you as young people who are connected to the movement, because you are. This is a direct connection to the movement, even though you really don't understand what you are learning here that you have to carry forth, because I didn't understand it. I was one of the only young people, me and Dominique, because my father and my mother was here. And other kids, it was a few, maybe like 5 or 6 other kids, because their parents were here, just like y'all. So I don't want y'all to understand. We didn't think it was interesting. We thought it was boring. They had to drag us every Saturday to the rally, and that was my father leading it. But it was important that the little jewels and things that we did pick up, we didn't even know that we were picking them up. But if you surround yourself, if you put children in positive environments where there's Black history and there's education, they have no choice but to absorb that and to understand what's going on around them. So you might not even get it, but you need to know and treasure the giants. Yeah, and y'all still not listening, but you need to understand and treasure the giants that come before you. 2 of you are here because of your grandfather and your mother, because the world took them away from us. Racism took them away from us. But you will understand the significance of this place once you understand your stories, exactly who y'all are. Y'all don't even know who y'all are yet. But this is a part of that. And y'all can look at me, y'all gonna be like, oh, that touch girl Ashley, later in your life, you'll be like, she actually knew what she's talking about. You're gonna clap up your mom, Emerald, and your aunt, because she knew that bringing you here on a Monday night when it was just 10 of us here gathered mattered, because you need to know your history. Nobody else is gonna teach. They're fighting to take it away from you. So the only people that's gonna teach it is us. The only people that care to teach you who you are is us. The only one who cares to protect your lives and to make sure that y'all are all right and that you're edified mentally, spiritually, and physically is us. So you need to understand and relish these Monday night evenings and the Saturdays and every opportunity that you are given, because outside, they're not trying. They're not here for you. And I want y'all to understand, I know I just got really passionate, I'm sorry, but I just want you to understand where we are and what you're doing. Y'all are special. Y'all are here for a reason. And y'all don't even understand, not the burden, but how heavy the bag that y'all have to carry. Y'all have to carry it forward for y'all generation. So next week, I need y'all to know who Harry Belafonte is, right? I'm not gonna give y'all no incentive. I'm not gonna say I'm gonna give you $5. I'm not gonna give you $10. Y'all need to know who Harry Belafonte is next week on Monday, okay? Can y'all, Kaylee, Alyssa, yes? Thank you. Who do you have to know who? What's his name? Say it again, you said it. Say it one more time. And what's his name? One more time, everybody together. All right, thank you. And those watching, the elders watching, the young people in your house needs to know who Harry Belafonte is as well. So that's your assignment. Everybody here needs to know who we just lost. That's not something just in the news channel. That's something important, and that is important, especially coming through these doors. We had a whole rally about it. That was not just to have a rally because Rev just wanted to have people come and talk. He mattered. And if we don't relish our icons, if we don't honor the memory of who mattered to us and who paved the way, nobody will. Okay? That's important. All right? Sorry. Let's clap it up one more time for Harry Belafonte. All right, moving on. So, sorry. I digress. CNN owes an explanation. What happened recently on CNN and an anchor? Word. That's right. Thank you. So NAN, National Action Network, publicly calls on CNN to provide a valid explanation, valid which means something that makes sense, as to why they terminated Don Lemon from the network after 17 years. He was one of the few Black primetime hosts that we had, even in 2023. His voice should not be silenced, and viewers deserve a right to know why he was let go. In a statement on Twitter, Lemon said in part, "It is clear that there are some larger issues at play. NAN and Reverend Sharpton demand that CNN address what these larger issues may be and provide a thorough explanation for their decision to part ways with the longtime anchor. Unless there is a justifiable reason for their actions, it will be taken as nothing more than a way to eliminate a strong Black voice from media and the public discourse. And Rev just sent out this notification, but that does not mean it's just the end of it. So I hope CNN takes this seriously because we need to know what happened with Don Lemon. He was on the air almost for 20 years. That makes no sense. Also, McDonald's is on notice. Did anyone hear about what happened with McDonald's recently? All right, good. That's one of our Did You Know articles, so I'm not even gonna go forward. I'm gonna let our young leaders tonight lead about what happened with Reverend Sharpton and McDonald's, and y'all have heard enough from me, and y'all will hear from me about mental health later. I'm turning it back over to Giselle. Oh no, Kaylee.
Now we will call up Daniel again.
Thank you. So I'm going to be a little bit more expound about Harry Belafonte by reading some excerpts from an article. So the article is titled Harry Belafonte, remembered as extraordinary artist, giant of the civil rights movement, and incredible New Yorker. Harry Belafonte, the entertainer and civil rights activist, has died. Rest in peace, Harry Belafonte. Peace be with your family. God be with your family. After a successful acting and singing career, Belafonte really discovered his voice. He used his fame as a platform for change. We all know that, as Ashley had just mentioned. So in 1956, he had an album. The name of the album was Calypso. It's in the Library of Congress's National Recording Registry, so that's a big deal. Shout out to you, Harry Belafonte. Belafonte sang of struggles for laborers in Jamaica, where he spent some of his childhood, I do believe. The article goes on to read, with a smooth baritone voice, Belafonte was the first recording artist to sell more than 1 million albums, a significant milestone during segregation. Belafonte was born in Harlem in the year 1927 and grew up on 114th Street. He served in the U.S. Navy during World War II. A tenant gave him 2 tickets to see a play at the American Negro Theater, which was in the basement of the Schoenberg Library in Harlem at the time, and that changed his life. Belafonte would later meet Sidney Porter and we become lifelong friends. It was an activist from within him that built his artistry. The article reveals a quote that says, "But it was in looking at the world of art and what I discovered in this theater that I found a place where my activism could be nourished," Belafonte said. Harry Belafonte, during his Broadway debut in 1953, did very well with John Murray Anderson's Almanac as the debut. He's accredited with the Tony Award, Grammy Award, and Emmy Award as well. Art and activism would be his life and legacy. He was close friends with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and spoke at the 1963 March on Washington. Whether speaking to politicians or a pope, Belafonte was a passionate man about the fight for justice for all. In 1987, activist Belafonte was named a Goodwill Ambassador for the United Nations Children's Fund, and in year 2014, he received an honorary Oscar for his humanitarian works. A quote from the article reads, "I've done a lot in my life, but this particular ceremony has deeper resonance and deeper meaning than I think many of you would realize." So that goes back around to what Ashley was saying just a few moments ago. Some notable mentions include Governor Kathy Hochul remembered Belafonte as an extraordinary artist, a giant of the civil rights movement, and an incredible artist. Harry Belafonte didn't just speak truth to power, he shouted it. He made people listen to that truth. Mayor Eric Adams wrote on Twitter, "This great son of Harlem leaves behind a legacy in the arts and in civil rights that has changed the world for the better. He will truly be missed." Maya Farrow remembers Belafonte as a beautiful singer, brilliant, and brave civil rights activist, a deeply moral, caring man. And those are some mentions from the article. So rest in peace, Harry Belafonte.
And now we have our field action reports by our BH fact of the day by Gino. Giselle.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm doing a Black History fact. It's called "Freed Slaves Started First Memorial Day in the U.S." So, yeah. Memorial Day is a day is set aside to honor those who fought and for the United States military. As many headed out to the beach or maybe a family barbecue, enjoying the weather, many might not be aware of the several different theories of how Memorial Day began. On May 1st, 1865, freed slaves came together in Charleston, South Carolina, to pay tribute to the Union soldiers that had been deceased and put into a common burial after the war. There were 257 deceased Union soldiers. That's sad. According to the American Oracle, the Civil War and the Civil Rights Era, a book written by David Blight, a Yale University professor. This event held over of 10,000 people in the slaveholders' race course, according to the American Oracle by Blight. Black Charlestonians, along with white missionaries and educators, stood in honor of the Union soldiers. 3,000 African American students led the event by singing John Brown's Body while holding arms loads of roses. According to Blight's book, The American Oracle, after the school's children, hundreds of African American women followed the processions of baskets of flowers, wreaths, and crosses. According to the American Oracle, Black men marched, followed by a group of Union infantry and a diversity of other Black and white citizens, according to blackbluedog.com. At the event, other presentations proceeded from a children's choir singing selections, and Black ministers presented scriptures. This event symbolized the blood, sweat and tears each one of the 257 Union soldiers shedded during the war. The 257 Union soldiers were not treated equally when alive or deceased. Union soldiers were kept in horrible conditions in the interior of the track. At least 257 died of exposures and deceased, and were hastily buried in a mass grave behind the grandstand. According to the American Oracle, the first decollation day by blight. Hence, a legacy was left on May 1st, 1965, and celebrating for those Union soldiers who served the country well. In generations to come, a part of history like this event reflects a time of African American history that will benefit the public eye. Well, this one's a quote I'm about to read. The war they had boldly announced had been all about the triumph of the emancipation over a slaveholders' republic, and not about state rights, defense of home, nor merely soldiers' valor and sacrifice, Blight said in his book, The American Oracle.
All right. Now we're going to have the field action reports by, no. The Huddle Artivism segment by Daniel again.
Thank you. I want to ask, do any of the audience members remember the film Sister Act? You can wave your hand, you can raise your hand. Yes, yes. Does anybody got a favorite song from Sister Act? If you do, you can shout it out. Anyone? Shout it out. Shout it out loud so I can hear it. I can't hear you. Say it again. Do I hear his eyes on the sparrow? Anyone? No? No? Do I hear if you want to be somebody? Well, tonight we're going to play a section from the movie and we're going to sing the song at the end, but we're putting a little twist on it. So we're changing the words from if you want to be somebody, if you want to go somewhere, you better wake up and pay attention. We're changing that to you better stay woke. You better stay woke and pay attention. How y'all feel about that? Stay woke and pay attention? It's litty? It's glitty? Stay woke and pay attention. I'll be dripping on that. And I'm going to extend the microphone out to the lovely young people in the front. So when that section in the video comes on towards the end, we're going to sing the song. We're going to get into it a little bit. And we're going to hear how these beautiful voices sound on the microphone for those that want to speak, all right? So I might do a little riff or something like that. But, JT, you can go ahead and roll the video. We can get right into it.
If you want to be somebody, if you want to go somewhere, you better wake up and pay attention.
Y'all hear that?
Make me believe what
Stay
you're saying.
woke and pay
Are we
attention.
waking this up a little?
Well, yeah, if you think you can.
Okay. Deanna. If you wanna be somebody, if you wanna go somewhere, you better wake
Stay
up
woke.
and pay attention.
If you want to be somebody, if you want to go somewhere, you better stay woke and pay attention.
Wanna be somebody,
You know the words?
you wanna go somewhere,
Do you know the words? We staying woke?
better wake up and pay attention.
Stay woke.
Tell them stay woke.
Stay woke.
Stay woke, and that's what we got. All right.
Now Giselle is going to do the membership and text alerts.
Hey, y'all. I know y'all miss me and stuff, but it's time to be serious with y'all. Is everybody an updated member for the year of 2023? I need to see some hands. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Are you new? Y'all new? Y'all better come get y'all one of these. Y'all better come get y'all one of these. A membership. Let me stop. Have you renewed your membership? Okay. If not, this applies to you. Y'all, I'm calling you out, sorry. And whoever watch us on live. As well as those who are not members, the best way to stay informed and end the action is to become a member of NAN. Stay informed about NAN events close to where you live. Text Justice followed by your state to 59769. Again, text Justice followed by your state to 59769. And also, make sure y'all remember to join us on Saturday for the Action Rally, every Saturday at 9 a.m. Please, and thank you.
Now I will open the floor up to Huddle Good News.
Hey y'all, it's me again. So my good news is, it was from today actually. I'm very happy that Kaylee is hosting tonight, her first time. That's my good news.
Shucks. Anyone else?
I had a Spanish quiz today, not today, well Friday, and then we just got our scores back, and now I got a 98. So I'm getting better at my Spanish now. A mí no gusta leer. That means I don't like to read. But and then a mí gusta, what's it called? I forgot how to say run, but I got y'all next week, but yeah.
Alyssa. So this year, I'm going to high school. I'm going to Newark Vocational High School for cooking.
All right, EJ.
I'm in private school.
So basically what he said is he got a student improvement certificate from his teacher. Anyone else?
Hi, God bless y'all. I'm so glad we're here together. My good news is on Saturday, I supported the Kathy Jordan Scholarship Fund. And yes, and that was by way of a dance. And I really, and more reallys, got my dance on. I really did. It's always a good time. It's always a good time and a good cause. Now, going to what the sister was saying about education, we definitely have to support those of us in the community who want us to be educated to the best of our ability. This is the only thing that's happening on Monday for the youth to tune in. I remember when I was younger, I depended on Henry Clark and Dr. Ben. I really depended on them. And they were up here on 145th Street and Common Avenue. I needed them. And once I was introduced to them, by God's grace and mercy, I started meeting other people, which led to Reverend Sharpton in 1991, because I went to PS 75 and heard him. Then my life took a transition. But in 2018, I was returned to society. And Reverend Sharpton and National Action Network is still here. Still here. And that's only by God's grace and mercy, because the intent of National Action Network is to keep us informed in all possible ways, but particularly building up the people of our Black community and white community who really support equality for all. Thank you.
Anybody else before I close it?
right, so my good news was that I had also participated in the dance on Saturday. And I had played musical chairs. I haven't played musical chairs in years. And one of the people I was playing musical chairs with was Malcolm Shabazz. And it was so funny because, you know, we was bumping for life, okay? And I'm telling you, I had a really great time. And it was like intimate experiences with famous people. So it's really awesome. And I wanted to just highlight that. I had a great time.
All right.
I'm gonna put you on the spot, brother. But I'm happy to see you here again. We asked you to come back. Make sure you wasn't your last time, and you're here one more time. So I want to clap you up. Thank you for coming, and thanks to your grandmother for bringing him. She's a lifetime member.
All right, now we have the Huddle Did You Know segments. First, I would like to call up Mo Bars.
Mo Bars. Where are you? Mo Bars. Come up to the front, Mo Bars.
Hola. Mic is hot. Brittany Griner says she went to Russia to make $1 million a year and spent 10 months in detention. The whole reason a lot of us go over is the pay gap. That's the title of the story. Re-entering the basketball court, Brittany Griner is back and pushing for change. In her first press conference since she was released from being detained in Russia for nearly 10 months, Griner made it clear that she won't ever leave the country for work. She won't ever leave the country for work again, but pointed out that not everyone has the resources to make that call. I'm never going overseas to play again unless I'm representing my country at the Olympics, she said. If I make the team, that would be the only time I would leave U.S. soil to play basketball. Charged for carrying vape cartridges containing cannabis oil in her luggage, Griner was sentenced to 9 years in prison before being released through a prisoner swap. The arrest was largely seen as a political maneuver by Russia as tension escalated between the country and the U.S. after the invasion of Ukraine. The only reason Griner went over there in the first place was to play WNBA off-season so she could earn more money, she said in a press conference. The whole reason a lot of us go over there is the pay gap, she said. A lot of us go over there to make an income to support our families and to support ourselves. Is why she said, I would never knock any player that wants to go overseas and make a little bit of extra money, she added, regardless of her own choice not to do so again after what she went through. From sports to entertainment and all the industries in between, pay equity issues have been a problem for both women at the top and the everyday working woman. America's woeful lag in achieving pay equity has pushed women to extend themselves in different ways, from leaving their jobs for better paying gigs or going abroad for better options like Griner. Just last year, millions of working women in the U.S. earned only an average of 82% of what men made. The pandemic pushed back progress towards pay parity, which was already stalling. The situation is even more dire for women of color. Black women make 39% less than their male peers. Native American women earn 49% less, and Latino women earn 54% less. It's no different ballgame when it comes to sports, where the discrepancy appears more stark with larger salaries. The average NBA player made a whopping 44 times more than their WNBA counterparts who play shorter seasons, according to NPR, $5.4 million compared to $120,600. Respectively, it's no wonder Griner went over to Russia, where she makes over $1 million per season while playing there, more than quadruple her salary in the WNBA, according to AP. While the United States Soccer Federation pledged to pay equal amounts to the women and men's teams, basketball is still clearly leagues behind on equal pay, especially given that interest in the WNBA has skyrocketed. Viewership increased in 2021 by 49% in 1 year. Credit for women stars is long overdue. Grounded in country now, it's Griner's mission to fight to make the situation for other women in sports better, and she's pushing for greater media exposure for the WNBA. I'm hoping that our league continues to grow, she said. I hope a lot of these companies start to invest in our craft. Okay, so my first question is, why do you think that to this day, women make less than men in the pro ball industry? Please come up and give me your opinion on that. Why do you think that to this day, women make less than men in the pro basketball industry?
I'm just gonna be straight up with this because their managers are males, and most of the time, when you're at a work facility, a man would get more money than a woman, just because that woman is a woman. Just not to be confusing.
Thank you. So just gender itself, you're saying, is the reason men make more than women. Okay, Gino.
I'm gonna be simple with it. I mean, they women, and men, they got like for example, LeBron James. Like, no one's gonna stop LeBron James. Like, he's making more money than a woman, and I'm probably in the WNBA, but I don't know how to put it, but.
So you're basically saying that there's no woman in the WNBA who can match LeBron's talent. I'm just bringing out what I didn't say that. I didn't say that. All the people watching, I didn't say that.
I'm gonna counter up.
Wait, some women in the NBA. I seen the WNBA. I watched it before. It was on. I think it was on Channel 5, and I was watching. I was like, oh, because I didn't know girls really know how to play basketball like that. But me. I'm sorry. But at the end of the day, I feel like women, they don't got a chance of like going against men, not like in basketball. Okay.
So I understand what he's trying to say. Basically, men don't have no ambition. Like, they don't find women, they don't have no faith in women. Because going off of his example, as far as the NBA and the WNBA, everybody watches the NBA. But not a lot of people watch the WNBA because it's women. They feel like men playing basketball, or men in general, they do better than women because they may seem more stronger and their physique looks nice. And then women watch the NBA too because they think the basketball players look cute, So nobody really watches the WNBA because they feel like women, they not as good as the men who play basketball. It's a gender thing. It's a stereotypical gender thing.
Rebuttal.
All right, I remembered it. Women don't got the same, the woman and men got different talents. So it's they gonna have they don't have so. All right, for example, do you play basketball? All right, see, so I play basketball, she don't, and it's a difference. It's like talent. What you like to do? Dance?
What is it that you like to do? What's something that you do? What's your she likes to
draw. I see. Look, I don't know how to draw. She knows how to draw. I'm bad at drawing, I swear. So that's different. I feel like women and men, they have different talent. It's they have different talents, and plus I feel like a lot of people, they watch the NBA, especially women. Everybody could keep it a Benji. I feel like a lot of women watching the NBA, and I feel like not a lot of people watch the girls NBA, the women NBA, but I do. But I know that they could play, but it's they try their hardest to be like men a little bit. It's cause when the girl, she went like this in her face, it was man.
All right. Okay, so before I go to the next person, in all honesty, when it comes to men, and young and old, he represents a percentage of people who feel one of the reasons why women and men have such a separate financial gain when it comes to NBA is because a lot of men feel that, yes, women know how to play ball. One thing that is about the actions in basketball, so women can't really dunk. They can, and every time a woman does dunk in the WNBA, it's celebrated because let me explain it from Gino's aspect, what he's trying to say. So when in the WNBA, when a woman dunks, yes, women can dunk, but it's very rare. And when it happens, it's a big celebration. A woman makes the news for dunking the ball. And they don't dunk it as extravagant and flying through the air. No, they just jump up and dunk it. So a lot of people's perception, they believe that one of the reasons, this is not the only reason, is that when you see an NBA game, the physical game back and forth, and the things that some of the men do as far as windmill dunks, the reverse, and all that extra stuff. There was a time where nobody could do that in the WNBA. And this is just facts. They didn't play like the men played at a time. Now that the WNBA is being watched more, and these females now are way better than females were back in the day. They are way better. They can dribble just as good as a man. They can do the same moves the men do. And now when some women dunk, they actually dunk like a male, but it's still very rare. And another reason is the tickets. Like when it comes to WNBA, even though people are still going, it didn't match up with how people come out for the NBA players. People, they don't just pay them by what they make with the concession stand. Money has to come in to pay those players what they want to pay those players. For Brittany Griner to have the same salary as LeBron James, for Shamika Holslaw to have the same salary as Kobe, God bless his soul, the arena, the WNBA arena would have to be packed every night, from nosebleed seats to all the way down to the floor. That doesn't happen. Any game we watch when women play, we can see the stands empty up top. That equals money. That's how they're looking at it. Like people on the board will look at it, well, the WNBA doesn't bring in as much money as the NBA. They don't market it the same. It's not the same way. I'm just giving you the perspective of how people, men, i.e. men, and even some women may look at it and we're just asking why don't they make as much as the men. These are some of the actual reasons why they don't get paid. Forget about gender, forget about morale. Just going straight to business, black and white, it doesn't bring in as much bucks as the NBA players, and that's what he's trying to get at, and that's a lot of people that believe actually what he says up here. So I'm gonna go back to people's opinion, and I just wanted to point that out.
Okay, I agree with everyone who came up here, right? So I don't have anything new to add to that particular subject, but I have a solution. I don't know if you're gonna ask for one, but I'm gonna give one anyway. The solution to the true fact is not many people attend women sporting events. We know that's the bottom line. We see that. That's really understood. We don't know how to change that. But I have an idea, and I hope somebody out there is paying attention, because the same way, say we go to entertainment, there's always a star, and it's by numbers. So say you have Beyonce, but you have these other groups that are part of the show. I don't know the proper name for them, but they have the star act and the other acts, and the other acts come on first, waiting for the star to come on, right? So my suggestion is, LeBron James, if you're listening, or anybody who knows him, please convey this, and any other male baller who really is concerned about helping these female ballers don't feel so financially stressed, combine your skills. Like, for example, whatever arena the male basketball players are playing in, say, okay, you're coming to see the male ballers, but you're going to have to sit through seeing some female ballers first. Yeah. Okay. That's a solution that could happen, though. No, I mean together the same night. Why not?
All right. One mic.
But that's a solution.
No, you're right. I'm listening. Go ahead, Bushword.
Okay, but again, too, they could form a partnership. Why not? They could form. All right, it's not impossible at all, because LeBron James got a lot of pull, and other ballers too. If they really want to help these female ballers, they could really start making some changes. It's not unheard of for two different entities to really partner up for a good cause.
Hold it, I gotta come up
Wait,
to the mic.
so,
I do that.
yeah, so for the good cause, and this is a suggestion, and yes, I'm keeping hope alive for basketball players, or including the females, consider partnering up the male basketballers and the female basketballers, partnering up to really, really have one game that features, one arena rather, that features female ballers and male ballers. And the money will be given to the female ballers as equitably as possible. And that will be a way to increase their income. Makes sense to me.
Thank you, thank you. Before I go to D, I also want to say, like, she's made that, you guys may not feel like that is the actual solution, but what she's saying is, basically, there are things that can happen. Now, a lot of people saying that's far-fetched, that won't ever happen, but the fact that it can happen needs to be, acknowledged. It's just that they won't do it, but that can happen. They can actually do that. They can actually put a women's team in the same arena and make 2 games. They can do that if they wanted to. They can combine each other for advertising dollars. They won't do it. One thing LeBron does is he goes, on the off season, he goes to plenty WNBA games and he sits courtside. He goes to colleges and watch the women play. And with LeBron coming out, both men and women are coming out. Even if they never watch the team play, they just want to sit there and look at Bron all day and they'll come out and support. That's Bron's way of doing it. One thing Shaquille O'Neal said, he said that with the whole thing I mentioned about dunking, he said maybe the WNBA, the regulation on the rim is 10 feet like the NBA. Shaq said if they lower it, so women can be able to dunk more efficiently, that can bring people out because of the excitement of the game. So, and that was an actual good idea. Like, people really gave great feedback to his comment about them lowering the rim for the women so they could come and do the extravagant dunks and exciting things that they want to see. So I just wanted to point that out as far as the men that help with the WNBA, because they go to a lot more games now. It's way more popular than it was before. Women's basketball is way more popular than it was before. Like, it's really picking up. So we might be headed in the right direction. So I'm going to pass it on.
Well, I'd like to say statistically, it's important to understand linear progressions. And because women's suffrage is fairly newer than the rights that we have as males, or potentially the rights that we have as different constituents, we need to understand we need to create more opportunities for our women so that they can progressively build up their track records so that they are making equal pay. And I feel as though the reason why some of the pay in certain industries, not just basketball, are differentiated is because culturally we may be accustomed to that. But let's break that cycle. I heard some people saying some really great ideas about how we can get the men to play basketball with the women and use that as a platform so that these women can know that they're supported, so that way they don't feel as though they're inferior, because in fact these women are not. They do have different features, they do have different skill sets, they do got different strengths, they do got different weaknesses. But in order for us to understand why there are pay rate differences is because some women are willing to accept that, but there are also those that are not. So salute and shout out to all y'all strong women out there bringing in them big bucks. I think that's really, really important as an example for our younger generations to see that these women can progress and leverage their careers and make equal pay or higher pay.
You're welcome. Next up.
Boys and girls can play basketballs.
I didn't tell him to say that. But, okay, so I agree with a lot of what you said, and I forgot somebody else said about the business part of it, aspect. I think the hospitality has been trying to say that the whole time. They have such comments. They should come to the mic. But say two as well. I agree that it's business. And some people say that men's basketball is way more entertaining than female basketball. Teresa Weatherspoon has been here. That's my godmother. So we were fans of the WNBA franchise. We participated. It is not as exciting. It is not as supported. It does not have as much money behind it, which goes to the pay gap. But it's not just sports. There's a pay gap in everything. Women get paid less in everything that we do. So that's something here, and that goes back to, I'm not gonna get up here and preach to y'all, but what Gino said. So Gino came and said that women can't play like men or as good as men, and he wasn't corrected. my thing is that, and I know he didn't mean any harm by it, but if you grow up believing that, you will be conditioned to believe that and take action on it and work in that way, and that's how America works. That the way that we work, the way that we talk, the way that we speak, the words that we use, basically set up how you think, how you move, how you exist. So if you believe that women cannot play equally or good, I understand the point about height. So physical stuff, I understand. But Brittany Griner is taller than some NBA players. So technically, you put up one against another one, it's not the same thing every time. When he asked her, he said, oh, you like to draw because she's a girl? That's a problem. That has nothing to do with me. That has nothing to do with me wanting to draw versus playing basketball because of my gender. Now, that's something that people assume. That's things that we stereotype. That is what we just saw. And I am not okay with that. So I want us to be more aware about what we hear. Even adults talk like that. Like, people were agreeing, and it's just not acceptable. And I feel like we're in 2023, and we have to do better and know better. As far as gender bias, you have some people outside, you don't even know what their gender is. You got people, you don't know if it's a boy or girl, or they, you don't know what it is. So when we come to that, we have to make sure our kids understand exactly what's happening, because sooner or later, that's going to become an issue. Is they going to play in the WNBA or the NBA? We don't know what's going to happen there. But that comes to the technicality of their height, their physical attributes, and then what are they going to get paid? So I just think we have to be more cautious about how we speak in this day and time, and then also how we view people, but not just people, but our gender. It's not just girl and boy. It's not better. I probably know people that can wash you in basketball. That's younger than you. No offense. And so I don't want you to go around being ignorant, saying, "Oh, you a girl, so you can't play." That's how Loving Basketball started, and that was the whole theme of the movie. So I just want everybody to understand that we have to acknowledge our biases and understand and work around them and work through them. Okay?
Well put. If you have something to say, you got to get up off your feet and come next to me, please. Anybody else? All right, so I'm gonna run into my next question. Now, with this kind of a segue, so still related to the topic, do you agree or disagree with trans people not being able to play in a sport where they are opposite the gender? You understand what I'm saying? All right.
I think that they should definitely be able to play, no matter what type of gender they are. She, he, they, like how Ashley said, she, he, they should still be able to play basketball without being criticized. Because how are you going to criticize me because of my gender, because I'm playing basketball, doing something that I love, getting paid?
All right. You understood the question?
I did before, right? Oh, okay. I was just making sure. I agree with Kaylee. I feel like they should, but it should be limitations. Like, there should be boundaries because, some trans females still have, their privates. And I feel like a lot of people was opposed to, like, letting the trans females into, like, the locker rooms with the biological females and stuff like that. So I would say that they should, but there should definitely be some boundaries depending on what the transgender is, like, how their transformation is, basically, if that makes sense.
Right. I got you. Okay, so let me just clear up the smog a little bit. Okay, so just for example, a trans man who identifies as a woman wants to play basketball, football, baseball, whatever sport amongst the women. He's naturally, biologically, he's a man, but he identifies as a woman, and he wants to play women's basketball. He doesn't want to play men's basketball. He wants to play in the WNBA. Trans female, right? All right, sorry if I said a trans female. So would you say you're okay with that?
I'm okay with the trans female playing with the other biological females. I'm just not okay with if they do have a different pair, like, different private part, then maybe they shouldn't be in the same room when they get dressed, or the locker room, the shower room.
But other than that,
but I feel like then in that case they would feel like excluded. But then it's like what can you really do? You have a different private part, you know.
Right. See, and that's just one of the issues. That's just one of them. Okay, I'm gonna just let you guys speak. I'll speak it in. Go ahead, Gino. You skipped 3 people, but come on.
I agree with what Giselle said, but I actually know this girl. She's transgender. She a dyke, basically. Sorry. Stud.
What's the proper term? AG, voice of heart.
AG. She plays basketball with us. She's really good, and she plays basketball with us. I beat boys on the court, and she's real strong too. So she plays. Because at first I didn't know she know how to play, but she's real strong. But she plays with us on the court and stuff, and I always tell her like, you're good, like especially for a girl, because I ain't never seen no, like, sorry. But y'all get what I'm saying.
You were saying that she's good for a girl that plays amongst guys. All right. She's saying she was good for a girl that plays amongst guys. Okay.
So I don't even know if I got the whole thing right, but either way, no to the no with men, trans people dressing up as females and saying that they're women and then going to play a sport against women because they naturally have the hormones and the makeup of a male still. And we also see that in restrooms, right? And in different places. Sidebar, just today, I posted a whole lot about this on Facebook. I just find it very interesting that I walk in for the first time in forever, and this is the topic. This is a really huge thing that's happening, and yeah, I'm not gonna go too far deep, but no. And I'm glad we're talking about this because I like listening to the views of the people. That's all I wanna say.
Thank you. All opinions are respected, young and senior.
All right. So we also know that there's a civil rights issue for trans rights. Okay. So I think it should really include trans sports. And I believe that any trans female should be afforded an opportunity to engage in any sport that includes other trans females. I believe that any trans male who wants to participate in any sport should participate with other trans males. And that goes along with trans rights. So let's keep that real. If you want trans rights across every phase of being a human being on this earth. So there's sports, you deserve to have your own sporting events. Thank you.
That's right. So maybe we might see in the future a TBA, TFL, TLB.
Good evening. I don't know what I walked in on, but I'll tell you this, that as far as trans goes, you know, a lot of us, all of us, especially young people, need to study anatomy and learn that we all have male and female hormones. And what predominates is usually what comes out. And now they have the transgender community and the gay community, and they're beginning to realize it's time for us to start really working together. And as far as it goes, as trans people, our people, just like you and I, and just like everybody else, we are all human beings. And I always say we're spiritual beings having a human experience. Now, if trans people feel like now there's another title, non-binary, where they're not going to be boxed in, girl, boy, male, female, whatever, non-binary. So I feel that a lot of young people discover at an early age what they prefer. And it's parents that really go out of their way to or try to orient them out of what they feel. Guaranteed, I can say this much, I know that if a trans male feels like, if a female feels like she's trans and wants to go into becoming male, I advise everybody, raise your mind above your belt, because they may go halfway, but they may not go all the way as far as having gender, and go for the operation and have everything removed. So in that context, I'm for trans people feeling and living their life as they feel fit.
Okay. Thank you for all those opinions. So, final thought. I asked that question in particular because I totally agree that men and women should have equal pay all across the board. If you can do the job and you can do it well, whatever that job is, you should be paid correctly, male or female. It shouldn't be a gender thing. But the conflict and the divide that's happening today with, like, just for example, women want equal pay and they deserve it. But then when the conversation shifts and we talk about, just for example, because I don't want to just keep it on this same thing, trans female, when a man wants to be a woman is trans female, that's correct? That's what you call it? Trans female? Yeah. She-male? Okay, okay. A man who identifies as a woman, yes, yeah, like that's yeah, sometimes we don't know. Yeah, like she said, they But here's the key word. They're saying. Here's the key. They're saying. Now let's talk about the law. All right. So I don't know yet. I'll do my homework, but I don't know if there's anything in the Bill of Rights that say if you take your original genital off, you automatically become the opposite gender. So that's not in the Bill of Rights. That's legally, just because you identify as it, that doesn't mean that you. All right. So a man who wants to be a woman, or a woman who wants to be a man and wants to play in the NBA with LeBron in them, and a man who wants to be a woman and wants to play in the WNBA with Teresa Witherspoons and Skylar Diggins. Things like what you said earlier about not being able to change in the same locker room. That may be an issue for the women that are actual women in the WNBA. They may not be comfortable with that. The hormones and the stuff, I know we share the same hormones and everything like that, but the fact of the matter is these people, it's the WNBA and it's the NBA. The best solution I heard tonight was from this word, those people, the transgender people having their own league. That'll save everything. That'll save everything. But the WNBA is what it is. It's Women's National Basketball Association. The NBA is Men's Basketball Association. When you see, there was a video of a man playing basketball. He was a transgender female playing basketball, and he was playing on a high school team with girls, and he was dunking and doing layups. Nobody could stop him, Nobody could stop him. And people had an issue with that, even with the bathroom. There was an issue here a while back, a long time ago, where a person here felt like they should go in that bathroom with females and kids. I'm not sure if everybody remembers that, but there was an issue with that. That person identified as what they identified as and felt they should go in there, and people wasn't with that because their children, their daughters and stuff, so the lines get blurred. It's like it's not as easy as you think when we have this conversation, because you're trying to be respectful, you're trying to respect people's identity and what they want to identify as, but then you have to get to the reality of it. And in my opinion, I feel like the best thing that should happen for the trans people is have their own league. You guys want your own everything anyway, so let's just give everybody what they want. They have their own league, and everybody will be fine. So that's just my opinion on that. And as far as the men and the women making the same amount, I feel that should happen. But at the end of the day, the biggest excuse the WNBA and the people up top and the offices will say is just not enough advertising dollars. It shouldn't be about gender or sexuality. Business is business. So if they can fix that, and trust me, the WNBA is growing. These girls are way better than, I've been watching the WNBA for a long time. These girls can dribble just as good as men. They can post up. They can do everything the man does in basketball, football. I'm not sure if anybody watches women's football. It's very, very good. You should watch it. It's beautiful. And, they can do anything a man does. So that's my segment. Thank you. And much respect to all genders and binary people.
All right, now we will have our founder of Huddle, Ashley, for our next digital segment.
I'm sorry I have to follow that. That was a good huddle segment. All right. Anybody know what May is nationally? That's right. Shawana Vaughn is in the building. Foster Care Awareness Month. Hey, sapase. All right. Yeah, all right. So right now we're going to cover Mental Health Awareness Month, and I'm so happy to see my big sister, Shawana Vaughn, in the building. She is definitely a mental health advocate and an expert in this department, so I definitely want to hear from you after I read this. Okay, so this is a sensitive topic to some, but we all can relate, I personally feel. So we've all been through a lot this year, and one issue that continues to make headlines is our mental health. Specifically, the effects after COVID-19 and all that came with it, vaccinations, quarantining, working from home, disrupted schedules, lack of social interaction, and more. Now is a good time to pause and reflect. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, so we want to make sure we recognize a difficult truth. Nearly 1 in 5 Americans lives with a mental health condition. I'm gonna say that again. Nearly 1 in 5 Americans lives with a mental health condition, according to the National Institute of Mental Health. That includes any mental, behavioral, or emotional disorder, such as depression, anxiety, mood disorders, including bipolar disorder, personality disorders, psychotic disorders, including schizophrenia, trauma, eating disorders, and substance abuse disorders. A recent statement by President Joe Biden on Mental Health Awareness Month mentions isolation, sickness, grief, and job loss as contributing factors on declining mental health, as well as lack of access to mental health services during difficult times, which is the issue in our communities, a lack of access to mental health services. But it's important to remember that you are not alone. In fact, that is the theme of this year's Awareness Month from the National Alliance on Mental Illness, that you are not alone. Experts stress that now is the time to focus on healing, reaching out, and connecting in safe ways by acknowledging that it's okay to not be okay. We can help address mental health issues through medication management, individual therapy, group therapy, case management, and more in and outpatient settings. More importantly, according to Paul Simeon, a PhD vice president and medical director of behavioral health, community members like us need to understand that mental illness is not something we can overcome with willpower. It's important. Nor does it mean we're moral failures. Biological factors such as genes and brain chemistry, trauma and abuse, and family history of mental illness can cause mental illness. Signs and symptoms associated with stress include difficulty with sleep, low energy and motivation, sadness, nervousness, difficulties with concentration, questioning one's abilities, feeling easily annoyed or irritable. Remember, too, that adults and children handle stress differently. Depending on the age and personality of your child, stress can be handled differently. Children may show, and this is important, parents, defiance, disrespect, complaining, fighting, not wanting to leave your side, and ignoring as symptoms of stress. What are the best ways to stay mentally healthy during times of crisis? One of the best things you can do is to practice self-compassion. Be nice to yourself. Ideas for this include remain hopeful. Find things to be grateful about. You can start a gratitude journal or keep notes in a gratitude jar. Use your phone or computer to stay connected with a balance on when to disconnect. Get the facts, but monitor the time you spend watching the news. Eat healthy and exercise. Maybe not the time to go on a strict diet or exercise regimen, but find a way to make small changes. Focus on what you can do to stay prepared to control your anxiety. Be fun and creative while at home. Dance, listen to music, small house projects, journaling. Set a routine structure to the day to combat boredom. Do not smoke, drink alcohol, or use drugs to deal with your feelings. That is very, very, very important as somebody who has dealt with that. How does mental stress affect our physical health? Our emotional health paired with our physical health makes us healthy. I'll say that again. Our emotional health, how we feel, paired with our physical health, makes us healthy. Stress is normal for our bodies, however, we are generally able to recover from short periods of stress. But stress that continues over a long period of time places more strain to our health. And they are saying to reach out to the National Alliance on Mental Illness if you have questions about this, but I just wanted to do this, okay? When I get to 5, can you just stand? Okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Stand. 1, no, sit down. Only 5 stand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Dan, you stand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mother Kennedy, you stand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Words, you stand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mommy, you stand. Sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4. Is there one other person in the back? Okay, and me, I guess I'm 5, so I'll put my hand up. So everybody sitting in the room, I'm not saying it's us, but according to these facts, these stats, have a mental health condition or suffer from a mental health condition. And that could be, it's not like extremely like schizophrenia. Sometimes everyone panics and is like, oh, I'm not crazy. But that's depression, anxiety, mood disorders, personality disorders, psychotic disorders, trauma, eating disorder, or substance abuse. So what I'm saying is be kind, know it's okay that you're not okay, and just know that you're not by yourself. Find a way to find help. Do not just take it on your own. You cannot convince yourself that you're okay. Like you can't, sometimes it's okay that you can't do it on your own. So seek help. And there's also a line now, the number that you can call if you need help with mental health. All right, does anybody else want to say anything in response to this? I would love for you, Shawana, to share. But anybody else want to share about mental health? Yeah, come on to the mic. Thank you, G. You can sit down.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Ashley, so much. This is one of the biggest months for me, and mental health is such a problem. And I'm excited to say, as a formerly incarcerated human being, it's definitely stressful for people who've been incarcerated, but now 8 billion people on the planet, because of COVID, know that mental health is a real thing. I'm excited to say that Ashley Sharpton and National Action Network was one of the first group of people to support my legislation called post-traumatic prison disorder. And actually, it was funny, because I showed a clip of your father saying it, other people have picked it up. Chicago, Michigan. Ayanna Pressley is now working on it as a federal bill. So we're clear that mental health is actually a real thing. But what's clear is, nothing for us without us, and nothing for us unless it's by us. And I've had the opportunity to say healing enough that I was gifted a 7-acre farm in Michigan. So I could actually create what holistic healing looks like from the dirt. And so I'm so excited to see what that looks like. I'm so excited to say that thank God to politicians who've taken 5 pieces of my legislation in Michigan, and 2 of them are about senior mental health and post-traumatic prison disorder, that I'm finally going to get to know what it looks like to get a trauma bus in the state of Michigan to help Detroit. Because mental health is a real thing, and you know what? We're exacerbated in our communities. And our children, they're not even counted in. Nobody's asking them, are you okay? Nobody's waiting for the answer either. And I want you to know I'm so glad that you come to a place like National Action Network and you come to Huddle, where somebody told you, speak until you're finished. I'm here to tell you everything in your house that go on, and if you don't like it, say something until somebody comes to help you. We not burying secrets no more. Tell everything on everybody. Because if they don't want you to know, they wouldn't do it. Everything that hurts you, say ouch and go get help. Because that's what we're here for, is holistic healing. There's no more stigma and there's no more shame in us having issues, because I tick and I talk, and it's okay to say, I'm not okay. Your voice matters. All of you young people, your voice matters. And what I've realized for senior citizens is, nobody's listening to you either. And senior citizens matter. And they've been through enough that they deserve the care to be taken care of, mentally, physically, spiritually, and in every way. And so I wrote a piece of legislation that actually addresses senior citizens and their mental health. So thank you so much, and thank you for the support of National Action Network. And Ashley, thank you for all your support always.
Thank you, Shalana. Thank you.
You know, with the adults and children in Manhattan, we have the Office of Mental Health, and we have different nonprofits that assist families, like Families on the Move, which was a organization that made sure that every borough has a location for families to go to, and they also advocated for mobile response teams to come to the homes instead of you call the police. But as we all know, there are still organizations that don't share that information. So most families still call 911, and we all know that 911 isn't really a response team when it comes for people that are going through meltdowns. And when it comes to seniors, we also have the Department of Aging that we work with for families that have seniors that are going through different issues as well. But what I wanted to say about mental health is that what I find as a person that used to work professionally with that population is that the general public is not informed about real deep issues, like, you know, children aged 5 and under have been raped, and that causes them to have a lot of problems in the general population, and they're still being forced to be in school settings. So, you know, if they don't like to be touched, if they don't like group settings, there's nothing being done about allowing them to have that freedom. And I worked with populations of people that really would benefit from being allowed to stand up when they want to stand up. And most school environments insist that you sit down. And if you don't want to sit down, you're considered to be disruptive. And people that are going through a lot of problems that resulted in trauma do not operate like that. And we need to allow them spaces and environments where they are allowed to move about the way that best suits them. And I think that that needs to be implemented, because currently it's not. Like, we get uncomfortable with people that don't want to sit down, children that don't want to sit down. Right away they'll say, oh, they have ADHD, like that's negative. It's not negative to have ADHD. It's not negative to don't want to stay still. We just have to really want to find things that are best for people that are in that kind of realm. Like, we all move different, and it's okay. But I don't think that that's how we're taught. I don't think the general population is taught for it to be okay, and that's a problem.
All right. Well said. Thank you. Well said. Sister Word?
Yeah, when she did the count, and I was number 5, and I stood up, I fit the definition at various times. Some of it's personal, because I'm a formerly incarcerated person as well, and I'm also a senior. Some of it is also because other people have experienced trauma that I witnessed. You know, I've seen on videos. I'm really in a National Action Network. I know families who's had children killed by cops. I take that on too. I was very surprised by that, but I cry sometimes when I hear these mothers talk. So I go through my thing also. But the reality of it is, each of us has a responsibility based on our own personal experiences. We're depending on the system to make a lot of corrections. That's not going to happen because of who's in power now. This sister just spoke. So whomever she interacts with, she can do what she can do to help the person be less traumatized in whatever way. I do my part. I work at National as a volunteer. People coming with crisis. I know I can give them some type of relief. And that's what I'm supposed to do. So we don't have to necessarily wait for the system to make all these dramatic changes, because they're not going to do it in the capacity that we really need it. But individually, we can make an impact to help somebody be less traumatized. The brother read scripture. I depend on that scripture. think on things that really are uplifting to oneself personally. That makes a big difference in how we interact with ourselves and others. So we could take on the responsibility at whatever level we can help, we can be of help. So we have to constantly be hopeful, but the basic true fact is we can help at the capacity we can help, and it's going to help somebody. Thank you.
Well said. Thank you for sharing that.
Hello, sister. I'm not going to be long and winded, but I love when Reverend Word goes before me because she stimulates my mind. Amen. So like I was shouting out, this month is not just Mental Health Month. It happens to be something called Foster Care Awareness Month and Haitian Heritage Month as well. And it's so interesting, right, how all three of those are in one month because they go hand in hand for me. Being Haitian American, growing up with a lot of trauma, growing up and being picked on and made fun of, right? Not understanding why people were making fun of me when I lived in Florida, saying I came off of a banana boat. That caused severe depression, right? Being darker skinned in a family where light-skinned people are, praised, right? Darker people are kind of put down. I've talked about some of these issues before, and so that triggers a lot because growing up, I didn't know my identity. I didn't know where to turn. How do you turn to people that are supposed to love you, but they say your nose is too big and your hips are too wide and your lips are too thick? Because they worship somebody that looks totally different. And it's not their fault because mentally they were abused. So hand in hand, Haitian people, right, are coming to America like a lot of immigrants trying to get this quote-unquote American dream, and all the while they're being beaten and traumatized repeatedly, while their land is being stripped away every single day of every natural resource. So talking about depression, your girl been to some counselors a few different times because I was trying to figure out, why is the world so ugly? Am I the ugly one? Am I ugly because my nose is big, my skin is brown, my hips are wide? But Maya Angelou said no. She said, I will rise. She said, we will rise. Then you have Foster Care Awareness Month, and I had no idea what foster care was because I thought children that were in foster care, their moms and dads were just either too sick to take care of them or their parents dropped dead somewhere, and it was like an orphanage situation. So by the time I'm 9 or 10 years old, this is a personal testimony that y'all don't know, my mom goes to retrieve her niece and her nephew out of foster care in New York City to bring them down to South Florida. And I remember sitting with the counselor as she interviewed every child in our home. There was only about 3 of us then. And she came to me and she said, you are the oldest. Do you understand you'll never have anything of your own again? You have 2 new siblings coming into your home. And I remember just looking at my mom and remembering that she loved her niece and her nephew so much that she would give anything to make sure they were safe. So she adopted them, and she took them in. And I grew up with sister, sibling, cousin people in my family, and I loved them like they were my own because they were. So wrap it up real quick. I don't want it to be a sad session, but I want to show you guys something. Last year, my sister was murdered. I stood up here on this stage, and I shared about it. And as she opened that door for me to talk about it, it was during the time I had just gotten arrested for Haiti, standing up for Haitian immigrants that were beaten at the border. Reverend Sharpton went to Texas to try to fight for the Haitian people, talking about putting all 3 of these heritage months together. This is trauma. But God is faithful. Because I could be down in the dumps like so many, but I choose to rise. And I choose for each of us to rise out of the gutters and the pain that we go through every single day as a Black people, as a Haitian people, as a Jamaican people, as an African people, because that's what we're supposed to do. So fast forward, I'm working on the foster care task force to help our foster care children. I had to put Haiti on the back burner for a minute because I can't change what's happening in my homeland, but I can change what's happening here. So we will have an event at the end of this month, and I'll keep you guys updated. And last but not least, there's no such thing as abnormal. I studied psychology and went to London, England as one of the only black students that was allowed to do this. That's why I always push studying abroad. They don't allow us sometimes in those spaces, but guess what? Your girl went, and I want all of you to know you all can too. But there is no such thing as abnormal, because even when they try to label us, we're all different, and we're all beautiful.
Thank you, Anaya. Thank you so much for sharing that. Come on, Mo. Last comment?
I just wanted to say, when one of the things I wanted to always make aware is when I was in the group home, right? One thing I've always seen, like whether it was in 9 o'clock in the morning before they let us go to school or 10 o'clock before we had to go to bed at night, there used to be this small cart. And a woman would come up with this small cart, and this cart was full of medication for the kids in the dorm. I mean, Prozac, Thorazine, Ritalin, like all of it. And these kids would walk up line after line, just take it, gotta lift their tongue, go to bed. And I watched that every night. But I've never seen none of these kids go to a therapist or sit down and talk. That's one thing they didn't really do in the group homes. They just medicated you and sent you on your way. So during the school days, them same kids would be up against the wall, drooling, head down, just rocking back and forth. And I noticed that they just don't want to deal with if those kids had a manic moment or they had an outburst, they didn't want to deal with that. So instead of talking to them or going, doing the things that they should do professionally, it was just better just drug them up. When my brother got killed in Los Angeles, they tried to put me on Prozac. I used to have crazy nightmares about my brother's murder, so they figured, they tried to treat me the same way as them. I used to just put it under my tongue, spit it out, go to school. But one time I just decided to take it. I said, let me just see what this is about. And I felt what those kids would feel with the dozing off, and I was like, nah, this is crazy. I can't go through the day just dozing off and drooling and stuff. Like some of the kids, they would be as slim as Gino, and some of the medication would make, as a man, their chest protrude out. Like they were having like weird hormone growths in their body, like weird things was happening to them. And I know Ritalin, they say that it's like a certain percentage of cocaine in it at the time that it was being given out. So one thing when it comes to mental wellness that I want to push is that medication isn't the end-all, be-all. Stop taking a diagnosis and then just writing a note and sending them off to get some medication, and so they be dozing off all day and not really dealing with the issue. All it is just numbing it until they need their next dosage. Like, I didn't study psychology, or I know there's certain, the school, whatever you guys learn in school through the books, but I think along with what they read and what they get educated on by other doctors who've written books, and, we learn from other I know the psychologists and psychiatrists, they learn from, books that have been written and stuff. Experiences in this type of situation is the best teacher. People are schizophrenic, people are bipolar, whatever the names are. And I know one thing, when they label these people this, it's like everybody, there's like so many people, millions of people that are labeled with these different, diagnoses. It doesn't mean that it's just, everybody's got PTSD. Everybody, it's a real thing. It's not that there's a bunch of people with it. People really have post-traumatic, the kids in Chicago that see murders every day and they're just desensitized to it. There's something wrong with that. Like, that's not just something you go by. Somebody just got killed. Oh, word? Oh, that's crazy. Yeah. And just move on. That's not normal. These kids are not talking to nobody. They're just letting it bottle up. Their friends getting killed, or, and they can't talk to anybody. They be looked at as soft, or they being a punk or anything like that. Like, we really have to create a blueprint that really works when we're dealing with mental health. Things that just the medication thing, it just really bothers me. It's no better than a person who's recreationally taking drugs on the street. They're just self-medicating. And I just really, really wish that we can get away from that and really get down and sit down and get to the root of the problem. And I think in New York City, where everybody's running rampant, especially in these subways at night, and they killing people while they on a train and stuff like that, there has to be a real blueprint and a curriculum design, even if it has to be aggressive, to help these people overcome their problem, or at least deal with it on a day-to-day basis, and like to help them avoid, having outbreaks and madness like that. Like, a while back with the issue that happened with the guy outside. he was schizophrenic. His aunt called and said, he's schizophrenic. He hasn't taken his medication in weeks. That's why he was out there wilding all day. You know, stuff, we need to pay attention to that. We need to have each other's back on that, and we need to really push in this mental wellness era where it's really important that people are finally seeing, like, this is a real issue. We need to have each other's back and share information and work with people, even if we're not licensed to do it. We may not licensed legally be able to give certain things, but some people know it better than the professionals. You know, you got to talk to family, got to talk to friends, instead of just, here, take some pills and go on your way. I'm just not really for that. And I think, you know, we should really ease up on that and really do the work and get to the root of these people's problems. So that's what I have to say.
Thank you, Mo. I'm not even going to add to that topic. Thank you. Obviously, we have to come back to this. Mental health, we're going to have something around foster care, and I'm going to welcome you to do it Haitian awareness. But definitely we're going to have something separately, probably not on a Monday, probably on a Saturday around mental health, because this really impacts our community, especially social justice community. Word touched it to me the most, and I appreciate you being transparent and trusting us to share in this space. But the crisis team, you get calls every day that break your heart. If you watched Legal Night the last week, I had to step away for a moment because it's just so much. It's so much that it's just like, why is everybody going through so much issues? It's just constantly just negativity and just I don't know, it's just issues everywhere. And it's like, who's here to help you? And if it's the same people, if it's always Word answering the phone, if it's always Derek, imagine their mentalities. Imagine what they're going through. Imagine if they don't get a break. Look at Emerald, and just think about it. It's okay. The most important part to me, this article was, it's okay not to be okay. We all go through shame, and we are embarrassed about what we experience, or sometimes even what goes through our minds. But it's okay. You're not by yourself. Everybody is going through something. Everybody, even if it's not mental, some people are physically impacted. But just be kind, be patient. Be kind, be patient. And if you get an experience that is not the nicest with somebody, just give them some grace, because you don't know what they're going through, especially here at the National Action Network. Thank you very much.
All right, now I'm calling up Giselle for another Did You Know? Well, the last one.
I'm here, y'all. I'm here. So, oh wait. Sorry. So, a local defense attorney said it's possible Lester's defense team will say Andrew Lester, the 84-year-old who shot 16-year-old Ralph Yarl on his doorstep, had a right to use deadly force to protect his property. That's because of the Castle Doctrine. So I'm going to read this first before I tell y'all what the Castle Doctrine is, because when I ask the question, I want y'all to be able to answer the question properly. The recent shooting of teenager Ralph Yarl has renewed the nation's interest in self-defense laws, also referred to as Stand Your Ground and the Castle Doctrine. Revised in 2016, Missouri's Stand Your Ground law says a person can use physical force to the extent he or she reasonably believes such force to be necessary to defend himself, herself, or third person. You do not have to retreat in an instance in which you feel someone may use force against you, Joshua Peter, a partner at Solomon and Peter Law Offices, said on Up to Date Monday. Peter said it's the Castle Doctrine that specifically applies to the Yarl case. That's because Lester shot Yarl on his own property. This is telling you what it is, but I'm going to give you a more simplistic definition after. The Castle Doctrine made it to where you actually have a right to protect your house or your vehicle, he explained. If you are in your home and you have a reasonable belief that someone is breaking into your home or that they have unlawfully entered, then you have the right to use deadly force. Peter said it will be up to the jury to decide if Lester had reasonable belief that Yarl was trying to break into his house, which Yarl said he was not. Lester pleaded not guilty at the Clay County Courthouse last week to 2 felony charges of first-degree assault and armed criminal action. Joshua Peter is his defense attorney and a partner at the Solomon and Peter Law Offices. So that concludes my Did You Know? So I'm going to simplify the castle doctrine for y'all who don't know. The castle doctrine refers to an exception to the duty to retreat before using deadly self-defense if a party is in their own home, meaning that if somebody was in their own house and somebody was to go knocking on their door and they think it's a threat, they can shoot the person or kill the person without getting in trouble because the stand your ground or the castle doctrine. So the question is a two-part question. How do we make more people aware about the castle doctrine, and how can we cancel out this law, which is the castle doctrine? Kaylee.
I think how we can cancel out this law is maybe not just say something about it, but do something about it. Maybe talk to somebody that's really important. Wait, where did this happen again?
Alabama.
I think talk to somebody like somebody that's important in that like state or country, and maybe not just like I said, not just do something about it, but also doing something about it with saying something about it.
The question is, how do we make more people aware about the castle doctrine, and how can we cancel out this law?
All right, I think enough people know about stand your ground, and I think enough people know about the castle law now that I just learned about it. But what we also know is that people are abusing these laws to justify injuring or killing a person. Right. So I think we should just skip informing people about it, and the public officials who have the authority to abolish these laws just straight up abolish it, because they have enough examples of people actually injuring and murdering people who are not a threat to them at all. It's being abused. It's enough just to cancel it. Thank you.
Okay, so good. That is enough to cancel it, but how would you present this to people who can cancel it? Yeah, I'm going to challenge you now.
That's all right. Yeah, there are demonstrations. There's people who are demonstrating against this near homicide of this young man. He was only there at the door believing that was where his brothers were. Right. He was ordered by the mother to pick them up. So for this man to actually just see somebody just ringing the bell and then shoot through the door, and then open the door and shoot again, like, how is that protecting his castle? So the politicians already know in that particular state that that law needs to be abolished. So that's enough in itself. I'm just really grateful to God that this young man is not dead. But that defendant, he's going to plead not guilty. But I just hope the jury really uses their best legal minds, being jurors, to really understand this man was not threatened at all by this teenager who simply rang the wrong bell. So we're going to see what the verdict is about, but politicians in that state know it needs to be abolished. And then the defense attorneys, that's their job also, to take it to another level with the politicians to get this law canceled. So there's enough people in that particular state to inform the politicians of that particular state who have the authority to abolish that law. It's necessary. This young man almost was killed because of that.
Okay. That's our argument, y'all. That's our argument. Y'all agree with Sister Word? Okay. So no more comments? No. Ooh. Don't dismiss me, EJ. Let me stop. So that was it, Kaylee. Turning it back over to Kaylee. Clap it up for Kaylee, y'all. She's doing her thing.
All right, so there's one more Did You Know? And I'm going to call up Miss Patrice.
Thank you, hostess with the mostest, Miss Kaylee. So, has anyone heard of the name Rasheem Carter? Who's heard of Rasheem Carter? Put your hands up. Oh, that's good. That's why we do Did You Know? Because it looks like y'all don't know what happened. What happened to Rasheem Carter? Mother says we're going to keep this fight going. It's been more than 7 months since the mysterious death of Rasheem Carter, and his family still doesn't have answers. A protest demanding justice for Rasheem Carter was held on Saturday in Taylorsville, Mississippi. Friends, family, and supporters of the Carter family, including Israel United in Christ, joined the protest to demand answers in the mysterious death of Rasheem Carter. Rasheem Carter mysteriously went missing in early October. Carter's remains were found less than a month later on a private property in a wooded area in Taylorsville, Mississippi. His mother claims he was being chased by white men, threatening to harm him and using racial slurs. Rasheem Carter, 25, was last seen outside of a Super 8 hotel October 2nd in Laurel, about 30 minutes outside of Taylorsville, where he lives. Carter's family believed their son was threatened and stalked by white men in the area and demanded a full investigation into their son's disappearance and death. According to the family, the day before Carter's disappearance, he went to the police department in Taylorsville and informed officers that there were men after him and that he feared for his life. Carter didn't have a car at the time and asked the police for a ride to the Super 8 hotel in Laurel, but officers refused, telling Carter it was outside of their jurisdiction. Isn't that crazy? He returned to the police station on foot early the next morning, pleading with the police to help him, but once again, they refused. More than 3 months later, Rasheem Carter's family still hasn't gotten any closure on what happened to their son. A GoFundMe was started by the family to raise funds to help defray the cost of seeking justice for Rasheem and to help alleviate the financial stresses that have accrued throughout the process. Attorney Ben Crump is on the case, and of course, he's a friend of Nan's, so he's demanding it. And I guess the question that the family has asked is, how long does this family have to suffer before they can get answers they deserve? When a black man dies, does his family not deserve justice? And I'll take about 3 people on that question. When a black man dies, does his family not deserve justice?
They absolutely do. Because here's the case scenario right now. The police are they're basically just babysitting the case. They're basically just taking little by little evidence instead of really going into this. Because if this was a missing white, like Caucasian man, not to be racist, but if this was a missing Caucasian man, they would really like dive into the case instead of just babysitting it. But now, since it's a black male, they want to just babysit the case.
Thank you, Kaylee. Anyone else want to tackle that? When a black man dies, does his family not deserve justice?
Hi, I didn't know the name of the young man, but I've heard about this case. And that sheriff, based on what this young man told them, they have suspects. He also, because the young man really gave true information that he was having difficulty with his coworkers, So they have suspects. So they could do an investigation. They owe their family at least that. Go speak to those suspects, do what they can to track their movements. But of course, anytime a person really makes an effort to treat the police officers or the sheriffs like they are professionals, they are owed professionalism. So this young man did the right thing to go to these police officers and report what they're supposed to be receiving in terms of reports. They owed professionalism in this situation. They owed it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Word. Anyone else want to comment on it? I just want y'all to know that we are the National Action Network, and we have several chapters in Mississippi. So this may be a case where we need to show up to this precinct where the young man went to. And we have chapters in Columbus, Mississippi. We have chapters in Natchez, Mississippi. So we may have to get on a bus and ride on over and tell them that the National Action Network is here, and we demand answers for Rasheem Carter. Say his name. Say his name. Say his name. And that won't be the last time you hear his name from National Action Network. Continue to keep his family in your prayers. Thank you.
Hey, y'all. So now we're going to close it out with a prayer. Everybody bow your heads, please. Thank you. You too, JT. Thank God for everybody being here with us today. I hope everybody goes home safely as they came. I hope everybody received great blessings today and great knowledge from all the topics that they just heard. I hope that everybody uses the resources that follows up with mental health awareness. Please call those numbers if you need help. And please say please and thank you when you're getting your food. Amen. Get home safely, y'all.